The ship held her position against the eternal rhythm of the Pacific, a solitary island of light in the vast, sleeping ocean.
On her stern, the gantry stood like a mechanical leviathan, ready to send its charge into the deep.
Dr. Sarah Chen reviewed the sonar ghost, a shape too regular for geology, resting where sunlight had never touched.
Prometheus, a 7-ton synthesis of human ingenuity, waited in her cradle. Her design was a defiance of the abyss. The team moved through pre-dive rituals. Efficiency here meant survival miles below their feet.
With hydraulic precision, Prometheus was borne over the stern, into the space between ship and sea. The hull voiced soft protests as the pressure mounted, forces that could crush steel into pulp.
They passed into a galaxy of cold fire. Bioluminescent life, unaware of any surface, flashed and died in their wake. At 2,000 meters, the blackness was absolute, a darkness older than humanity. And there she was, a dream resolving from the fog, a ship preserved in the deep freeze and darkness. The stern told the final story, timbers blown outward, a violent, sudden end from within.
After centuries in the dark, it waited. A ship safe.
The recovery demanded hours of meticulous work. A single careless move could erase history preserved for centuries.
They tested the centuries-old handles. The metal held, having found an equilibrium with the crushing deep. With ballast released, they began the long ascent. The wreck returned to its solitude, its secret now reclaimed. They rose through the galaxy of cold fire once more, ascending towards a world they had left behind.
At 500 meters, the first hint of blue. A color that felt like a memory returning.
Chen emerged, her eyes struggling with the sun. 8 hours in eternal night, and now the Pacific morning.
The cleaning began with reverence. A gentle spray, dissolving the ocean's kiss of centuries.
They worked through the day. Jet by jet, brush by brush, the ocean's claim was reluctantly surrendered.
The letters formed Dutch words, a name lost to history, the Batavia, vanished in 1628, now found. The triumph was beyond professional. It was a connection, across nearly 4 centuries, to souls lost at sea.
The ocean kept its watch, patient and eternal, holding countless other secrets in its forgiving dark.
Morning came. The mothership turned for home, her cargo secured.
The safe was stabilized, bathed in chemicals that would halt centuries of decay, preparing it for the final revelation. The transit home was a decompression, a week of ocean miles separating the abyss from the coming analysis.
At port, a new team waited. The artifact's journey from seabed to laboratory was a handoff between field and science.
In the laboratory, the safe was a patient under a microscope. Every millimeter would be mapped before the lock was touched.
The lock, fused by time, was not picked but surgically removed, millimeter by careful millimeter.
After 4 centuries, the mechanism yielded. A faint groan of metal, a sigh of released tension. The door opened, not with a bang, but with the solemn weight of a tomb being unsealed.
The first journal was lifted out. Its leather was supple, stunned by the sudden light of a new millennium.
Hastings. The stamp was clear. Logbook of the Batavia. A. Jacob Zoon, Master. Each page was digitized, a ghost made eternal in pixels, before the fragile originals would be touched again.
Translation began immediately. The standard log entries gave way to something else. Troubling notes.
The captain's hand wrote of a growing poison, a mutinous mood, whispers undermining his command.
The oilskin packets held letters, seals unbroken, never delivered, the final communications of a ship in crisis.
With reverence, the seals were preserved. The letters were meant for wives, merchants, authorities. They became testaments.
A narrative emerged, pieced together from fragments. A deviation from the planned route. Then, a shocking sketch. Not a map for navigation, but plans for a fort on an unknown shore.
The clash was between the captain, loyal to the company, and the under-merchant, who dreamed of his own kingdom.
The middle-aged, stoic East Asian male captain's final entry was not about wind or waves.
In the quiet of the museum, the relics stood sentinel. Their long sleep in the dark had ended, replaced by a permanent vigil.
Captain Jacob Zoon recorded every strain. The storm was an enemy, but one he understood. The enemy within was more insidious.
The crew list was a blueprint for disaster, a mix of seasoned sailors, soldiers, and desperate men with nothing to lose.
My dearest Adrian, the winter here is mild, but the house is cold without you.
That private ache was locked away with the ship's funds. A piece of his humanity, secured in bronze.
The mutiny was planned like a military operation. Weapons were secured. A fuse was prepared near the magazine.
In the chaos, accident trumped design. A spilled lantern, a hungry flame finding its way to the conspirators' own fuse. The powder magazine erupted. The conspiracy, the ship, and scores of lives were obliterated in an instant of elemental fury.
Then, silence.
The safe is a teacher. It tells children not just of adventure, but of the fragile line between society and chaos.
The company's record was a single line, a bureaucratic footnote to the complex, violent truth we now know.
The discovery rippled across the world, a demonstration of how technology could interrogate the past, and the past would answer.
Her report closed the file. The Batavia was no longer a mystery. Its full, tragic biography was complete.
For descendants, it brought a painful but necessary closure. An end to centuries of not knowing.
Safe endures. It witnessed greed, fear, love, and fire.
Her focus shifted from single wrecks to patterns, to understanding the collective story of loss written on the seafloor.
This was not just archaeology. It was time travel.
to an era when the deepest water was a mythic terror.
This changes the Silent Fleet project entirely. The timeline of accessible history just expanded by 1,500 years.
The discovery made global news again. Not just a ship, but a lost trade route hidden in the deep for centuries. With discovery came responsibility. She advocated for these sites as sacred, protected museums, not for salvage.
The data became an educational tool. Anyone could now dive to the Batavia to bear witness without disturbing her rest.
For Chen, the ocean was no longer just a profession. It was a conversation. A slow,